Okay, good evening, everybody. We're in Parashat Trumah, and it's a new era. We're stopping with the stories of Yetziat Mitzrayim. We're starting a long two forum of discussing the Beit HaMikdash and its issues. And since last year, I dealt with Beit HaMikdash and Parashat Trumah itself. I would like to discuss something differently, which is not Mishkan Moshe, but Mikdash Shlomo. Yes, good evening, Mr. Posner. Apparently, it's a mistake. It cannot be Mishkan Shlomo because there is no Mishkan Shlomo. There is just Mikdash Shlomo. It's my mistake. But we'll deal with some very interesting psukim in Parashat, in the two stories of Shlomo. So we know that in Parashat Trumah we have the foundation of Beit HaMikdash, of the Mishkan, and Shlomo HaMelech creates or founds Beit HaMikdash HaRishon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells David that he's incapable of building the Mikdash and so on, and therefore his son that will get out of him will build the Beit. Okay, so we have two times or two locations in which the Tanakh describes the binyan of Beit HaMikdash HaRishon, one in Sefer Melachim, Aleph, and the other is a parallel one in Sefer Divrei Hayamim. And as we know, each time, so Divrei Hayamim might repeat Sefer Melachim, but we'll see something very interesting. Good evening, Mr. Dale and Mrs. Posner. So let's see what we have here. Sefer Melachim. Just a minute. Let you see. ויהי ב80 שנה ו400 שנה לצאת בני ישראל מארץ מצרים. בשנה הרביעית בחודש זיו, הוא החודש השני למלוך שלמה, ויבן הבית להשם. אוקיי. How does it look? והבית אשר בנה המלך שלמה להשם, 60 אמה אורכו, 20 אמה רוחבו, ו30 אמה קומתו. It doesn't matter its height, just remember for general knowledge that Beit HaMikdash HaRishon is divided into two pieces. 1/3 is Kodesh HaKodashim, it's a cube, 20 on 20, while the rest of it, the Heichal, is 40 on 20, okay, 2/3, because out of 60, 40 is the Heichal, 20 is for the Kodesh HaKodashim. Okay. And he did a lot of things. וידבר השם, let's go. ויבן שלמה את הבית ויכלהו. שלמה has finished the house. ויבן את קירות הבית מביתה בצלעות ארזים. It's very difficult language, so I won't translate each word, just translate to the context. ויבן את קירות הבית מביתה, so he wrapped the walls of the temple, בצלעות ארזים, okay, with the cedars, right? Cedars. מקרקע הבית עד קירות הסיפון, you know that סיפון, in our Hebrew, is the lower part of the ship, but in the Tanakh, the סיפון is a תקרה, is a ceiling, okay? ציפה עץ מבית, ויצף את קרקע הבית בצלעות ברושים. So it doesn't matter. He wrapped the wood with, he wrapped the karka and the walls with wood. ויבן את 20 אמה מירכתי הבית, בצלעות ארזים, מן הקרקע עד הקירות. So from the bottom till the ceiling, he covered it with woods. ויבן לו מבית לדביר, לקודש הקודשים. So the word dvir, you know what it means? Dvir has double meaning. Dvir might be used for kodesh HaKodashim itself, and might be used as the parochet, something that makes a chatzitza between a kodesh and kodesh HaKodashim. So if we're talking now about kodesh HaKodashim itself, ואיבן לו מבית לדביר, meaning that he built in kodesh HaKodashim inside the mechitza, inside the parochet. and I didn't say, but I think that this shiur would last two shiurim. It's interesting. It's a lot of things to say. So if we don't have today, we'll finish it B'ezrat Hashem in Tetzaveh. But we'll do it separately. That today you'll have something to go with after the show. ו40 באמה היה הבית, הוא ההיכל לפני. Okay, so it's very clear. 20 for קודש הקודשים, 40 for זה היכל. Okay? בסדר. I'll skip a little bit. ודביר בתוך הבית מפנים הכין לתת שם את ארון ברית השם. So it's very clear. דביר, קודש הקודשים, he has prepared in order to put inside ארון הברית. ולפני הדביר, 20 אמה אורך ו20 אמה רוחב. So inside זה פרוכת, inside זה קודש הקודשים. You have 20 אמה אורך, 20 אמה רוחב ו20 אמה קומתו. Why just 20 אמה קומתו and not 30? Because 10 was just for בוידם או עליית גג. ויצפה הוא זהב סגור. And then, this is very weird. ויצף מזבח ארז. What does it mean? We're talking about Kodesh HaKodashim. Kodesh HaKodashim, the only object that I know inside is just Aron HaBrit or the Kaporet, or both of them. I don't know of any Mizbeach in Kodesh HaKodashim. Do you know? You know of such a thing, Mizbeach in Kodesh HaKodashim? What does it mean? How many Mizbachot do you know? You know two, right? You know one, Mizbach HaOlah, on which Mizbach HaNechoshet, Mizbach HaOlah, the copper one, on which a lot of korbanot, and it's outside in the Chatzer, in the courtyard. And you know Mizbach HaKtoret, a very small one, made of gold, and is used for the Ktoret in the Heichal, in the Kodesh, not in Kodesh HaKodashim. So what does it mean, Vaitzaf Mizbeach Erez? How can it be? How can it be? Okay? Very interesting. But leave it again. ויצף שלמה את הבית מפנימה, זהב סגור, ויעבר ברתוקות זהב לפני זה, וכולי וכולי. So, ויעש בדביר שני כרובים עצי שמן, 10 אמות קומתו. So we know that Shlomo, unlike Moshe, put the two כרובים on the floor, not like Moshe that put them on top of Aron HaBrit. But still, the context is very clear. The Perek discusses Shlomo HaMelech doing what he did in Kodesh HaKodashim, and it's not clear, Vaitzaf Mizbeach Erez. Okay, let's go on. Let's go to Perek Zayin. Perek Vav is it's like Parashat Trumah, that he did the Kodesh HaKodashim, and he did the walls, and he did this, and he did that, all the kelim. Perek Zayin is used to give us details. Vayishlach Shlomo, and then we have all the midot. Okay, so the Perek says that he brought Chira Mitzor, is Betzalel. He used Ozer, who was called Chira Mitzor. Okay. Vayatzor et shnei amudim nechoshet. So he made 2 columns at the entrance of Beit HaMikdash HaRishon. We didn't have that in Mishkan Moshe. We had 1 Yachin and 1 Boaz, 2 columns that stood in front of Beit HaMikdash. Okay, לא משנה, לא חשוב. A lot of things that we didn't know from Mishkan Moshe. ויעש את העמודים להיכל, ויקם את העמוד הימני, ויקרא את שמו יכין, ויקם את העמוד השמאלי, ויקרא את שמו בועז. אוקיי. טוב, בסדר. And then he did ים של שלמה, a big sink made of 12 cattle. אוקיי. ויעש את המכונות 10 נחושת, 4 באמה, ערך המכונה 1. אוקיי. And then we have this and that and this and that, and we'll go on. ויעש 10 כיורות נחושת. So how many כיורות? כיור. How many sinks were in Beit Rishon? 10. How many מכונות were in Beit Rishon? 10. Okay? How many menorot were in Beit Rishon? Okay? 10. ואת המנורות, 5 מימין ו5 משמאל. So if you know all the pictures that you see with one menorah in the Kodesh, it's either from the Mishkan or from Beit Sheni. But in Mishkan Shlomo, in Mikdash Shlomo, there were 10 menorot, okay? 10 kiorim, 10 mechonot. Everything was 10, okay? How many shulchanot were in Beit Rishon, in Beit Shlomo? I don't know. We didn't see that, right? But let's look for שולחן. ויעש שלמה את כל הכלים, את מזבח הזהב, ואת השולחן אשר עליו, לחם הפנים זהב. So I have two questions. First of all, why just one shulchan? He did 10 menorot. He did 10 kiorim. He did 10 mechonot. So why just one shulchan? Why didn't he do 10 shulchanot? But I see that in this pasuk, memchet, ויעש שלמה את כל הכלים, את מזבח הזהב. So here is a place where I should write מזבח הזהב, because I discuss the kelim in details that Shlomo made, the menorot, the רימונים, the קישוטים, the ornaments, everything he did. So that's the location in which the Tanakh should write מזבח הזהב, not in Perek Vav, when the Tanakh discusses generally macro Kodesh HaKodeshim, not then should we write that there was a Mizbach Erez. Okay? So I have two questions, or three. Why? One, from this pasuk it seems as if Mizbach HaZahav, or Mizbach HaZahav, was in Kodesh HaKodeshim, unlike everything we've known from the kindergarten, from Parashat Trumah, from Parashat Tetzaveh, from Vayakel, from Kudah. We don't know such a thing. Kodesh HaKodeshim is emptied out from object, but the Aron HaBrit and the Kruvim. That's it. So here it seems as if the Vaitzaf Mizbach Erez, the Mizbach is a part of Kodesh HaKodeshim. Second question, why, even if it's true that the Mizbach is here, why should the Tanakh mention it here when describing Kodesh HaKodeshim? He should have mentioned it, as he did mention it, in Perek Zayin, not in Perek Vav, with all the kelim, with all the objects that Hiram, the Ozer of Shlomo, made. He made the Mizbeach. And thirdly, why did Shlomo make just one tabernacle of one table of gold and not 10, unlike the 10 menorot? Okay, so we have three questions to discuss. Okay, but we have another problem here. ואת כל הבית ציפה זהב. Okay, let's go a little bit further. ויצב שלמה את הבית מפנים הזהב סגור. I have read this pasuk, ואת כל הבית ציפה זהב, אטום כל הבית, וכל המזבח אשר לדביר ציפה זהב. Pay attention to this pasuk. He has covered everything with gold, okay? Because we know that most of the Mikdash is sandwich made. Sandwich, meaning that it's wood and gold from both sides, okay? And then we have כל המזבח אשר לדביר ציפה זהב. Why do we say המזבח אשר לדביר? It has no meaning. המזבח is somehow related to the dvir, to Kodesh HaKodeshim. I thought that this was a mistake, that ויצב מזבח ארז. But here I come to psukim later on, and I see it's not a mistake, it's a repetition of the Torah, of the Tanakh, that hamizbeach, lichora, meaning mizbach ha-toret, somehow is related with a dvir, okay? It cannot be, okay? Why? There is no linkage between the mizbeach and the dvir, kodesh HaKodashim. And again, ויעש בדביר שני כרובים עצי שמן 10 אמות קומתו, so we're talking about קודש הקודשים. So again, we have, זה לא קשור, it's not written in its place, it should have been written in פרק זין, and I don't understand why the מזבח is called אשר לדביר. We have in the מפורשים two attitudes how to describe, how to understand that. One thing, I think the first one is in Rashi, וכל המזבח אשר לדביר, because Mizbach HaKtoret, if you know how it was located in the Kodesh, in the Echal, was in the middle, because the Shulchan was in the south, the menorah, the Shulchan was in the north, the menorah was located in the south, okay, and far away to the east, next to the entrance of Beit HaMikdash, was in the middle between the north and the south, זה מזבח הקטורת. So it's ממש located next to ארון הברית, okay? If you make a line between ארון הברית here and in the left, in the west, and מזבח הדביר in the east, there is one line, because here you have the menorah, here you have the shulchan, but to the east and in the middle you have the dvir. That's why, according to Rashi, the Mizbeach is called Asher Ledvir, because that's what makes him with a relation to Dvir, to Kodesh HaKodashim, but it's a very weird way to describe the Mizbeach. We never found that the Mizbeach anywhere in the Torah, in Parashat Trumah, in Parashat Vayakel, in Parashat Pkudei, and all of Sefer Vayikra, we never call the Mizbach HaKtoret Mizbach Kodesh HaKodashim, or somehow relate it with the Aaron. So why did the Torah or the Tanakh choose to describe Mizbach Shlomo Asher Ladvir? Very weird. Okay, but and as I said, it's not the first time. Another attitude in the Meforshim, that the Mizbech is very similar to Kodesh HaKodashim, to the Aaron, because it's, as I said, it's sandwich made. Both of them, either the Aaron or the Mizbeach, are gold, wood, gold. Again, very nice, an explanation, but doesn't answer. Okay, that's the only time that the Torah choose to write Mizbeach, to call it a sandwich-like. Why is it just in Mikdash Shlomo? Another problem, okay? To tell you the truth, if you have learned the prakim of Shlomo, I'm sure you have learned it in your life, they're very difficult. And since you make, how do you say it? You imply, no, you make an implication. You know from in advance, from the kindergarten, what you have known from the Mishkan, you make a projection, that's a word that I wanted, on what you read in Sefer Melachim. But that's a problem. You know some things about how should a Mishkan look like. You read some things, very difficult Hebrew, very, very detailed and not organized in Sefer Melachim, and then you make a projection of what you know on what's written, but it's not written, okay? So we have a lot of problem. First thing, that somehow twice the Mizbach HaKtoret is related with Kodesh HaKodashim, in its place, in its location, and in its description. And we know that Shlomo built everything 10 times, but he was grandiose just in building the mechonot, the menorot, but not in the shulchan. He has run out of money, apparently, when coming to building the shulchan, because he didn't have money for more than one shulchan, and we know that it's ridiculous because Shlomo in his time money was nothing. It's like stones. So what does it mean? Why did he have another 10 things from each chafatzim, but not from the Mishkan? Extrapolation. Thanks. No, I wanted the word projection, להשליך, okay? That you expect something from, because of formal knowledge, and you extrapolate. You do it on what you see or what you expect, but it's not what's written. Okay, let's find the place in which the big Mizbeach, not the small one of Mizbach HaKtoret, the big Mizbach, the copper one, Mizbach HaNechoshet, Mizbach HaOlah, as it's called in Sefer Shmot. Where is it mentioned in this perek? So let's go again. We'll do it very quickly. Okay? We have here the generally dimensions. We have the windows, okay? We have a small talk with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Shlomo, and then Shlomo built. He started from the cedar walls, and he built the Kodesh HaKodashim. He built Mizbach HaZahav. He built Mizbach HaZahav again, okay? He built Kruvim. He put the Kruvim inside Kodesh HaKodashim. Okay, so maybe we don't have it here. Maybe we have the Mizbach Ula in the next perek. Let's see if it's there. Okay. So we have here, till Pasuk Yud Bet, we have Shlomo builds his own bait. You know that in Chazal there are two attitudes towards it. One looks very inferior on Shlomo because he mixed his own house in the middle of Beit HaMikdash. One says that it's very nice, that's idealistic combination of Beit HaMikdash and his house are equal, Kehilat. Okay, but from Pasuk Yud Gimel, we have again all that he built. So we have the Amudim, the columns, as we mentioned before, and then we had the Mechonot, and then we had the Kiorim, and then we had the Menorot, right? And then we had the Shulchan, and where is the Mizbach? The big Mizbach. Op, ותשלם כל המלאכה.
מזבח הזהב.
I have מזבח הזהב, okay? But I don't have מזבח העולה. Very, very weird, okay?
David built a mizbach on the Har before Shlomo built the Beit Mikdash.
Pardon? Sorry?
David himself built the mizbach ha'olah.
So you said that Shlomo used the same Mizbach Olah of David. Okay, that's very interesting. So let's start with this assumption. We might say that Shlomo didn't have to be makriv a lot of korbanot, but it's a big lie, because we know that Shlomo was the best makriv of korbanot. He was makriv thousands on thousands on thousands of sheep and cattle, okay, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we know from Chazal that not only that Shlomo used the Mizbeach of David, as you said, but he also Kiddush, sanctified the floor of the Ritzpah of Beit HaMikdash, and he was makriv on the Ritzpah. It was an Hora'at Sha'ah. It was a permission just for his own time to be makriv. It was so packed and so many korbanot that not only that he did it on David's Mizbeach, but he did it on the floor. Okay, and the Mizbeach was, let's go to Perek Chet, okay, because here we've run out of all the melacha. Let's go to Perek Chet. Shlomo gathered all Am Yisrael, ויקהלו אל המלך שלמה כל ירך ישראל בירך האיתנים בחג הוא החודש השביעי, which means Sukkot, and we know from the Gemara that this year they never, they didn't fast on Yom Kippur. It was Horat Shah as well. HaKadosh Baruch Hu permitted them to be very happy, okay, and not to fast in Yom Kippur. And after Yom Kippur, they had Simchas Torah. By then, it used to be a happy Chag. It was before Tafshin Pei Dalet, and that's one of the sources for Simchas Torah, okay? Because ביום השמיני שילח את העם וכו' וכו'. And then we have the story that we know that Shlomo cannot, השכינה cannot be, etc., etc. ויעמוד שלמה לפני מזבח השם. Where does he have it from? So it must be, as Larry suggested, that he has taken it from former generations, because he never built such a thing. We never saw in Perek Vav or Perek Zayin that he builds a Mizbeach. So it must be that he takes a Mizbeach from his father. As I said, sometimes in the period, he ran out of money. He didn't have money for more than one shulchan. He apparently didn't have money for Mizbeach, so he took from his father or some loans from the past, from Moshe, the Mizbeach of Moshe, and used it, but it wasn't enough because he brought thousands of korbanot, okay, and then he has a beautiful tefillah, okay, and then ויזבח שלמה את זבח השלמים אשר זבח להשם, קטל, כמה? 22,000 צאן, sheep, 120,000, אוקיי? ויחנכו את בית השם, ביום ההוא קידש המלך את תוך החצר אשר לפני השם. So he sanctified, as I said, the floor of בית המקדש. Why? כי מזבח הנחושת אשר לפני השם, which מזבח? He never built it. So sorry, he's taken it from his father, as Larry suggested, okay? It must be the truth. קטון מאכיל את העולה ואת המנחה ואת חלבי השלמים. Think of the busha, of the shame, that he makes a big Chanukat Habayit, okay? Of the, let's say, Burj Khalifa, of that period in history. And he brings all the world, and then you see that there is no enough light, or not enough water, or there is הפסקת חשמל, or there is no place for the korbanos. It doesn't make any sense, okay? It doesn't make sense. Everything he builds big and with publicity, and just the Mizbeach, he forgot to build a bigger Mizbeach. It cannot be. And why did he have to sanctify the floor just because he didn't have a bigger Mizbeach other than the Mizbeach HaNechoshet Asher Lifnei Hashem that was too small? Everything here doesn't make any sense. So we have a lot of questions. And I'm sorry, but I think that we'll have to finish like Barban with questions and discuss the answers next week. No, we'll give some answers today. Okay, so let's sum up what we have and what we don't have. We have a very big mix here, but we know that Perek Vav and Perek Zayin are the preparations and is a foundation of Beit HaMikdash. When Perek Chet discusses with a ceremony or Chanukat Habayit and the Tefillah, etc. Okay, we don't find Mizbeach at all. We don't find Mizbeach HaNechoshet at all. Shlomo doesn't build the Mizbeach, and he is a counter problem when he had to be makriv so many korbanos, so he had to sanctify the floor instead of building a huge Mizbeach. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he build a shulchanot? Why did he build just one? If he could build 10 menorot, 10 sinks, 10 mechonot. Okay, and regarding the location of the Mizbeach HaKtoret, somehow we find Mizbeach HaKtoret in the middle of Kodesh HaKodoshim. We know that it's impossible, or that I'm going to be a very big chidush that there was a mikdash with a Mizbeach HaKtoret in Kodesh HaKodashim. I'm not going to do that. So the way it's written in the Torah is very, very weird. either it's in its location, because it shouldn't be mentioned in Perek Vav, but in Perek Zayin, and it's mentioned there later that he created Mizbach HaKtoret, Mizbach Zahav, but it's twice mentioned as if Mizbach HaKtoret is used as a part of Kodesh HaKodashim, and it is impossible. Let's go for a second to Divrei Yomim, because what can we do? Divrei Yomim, we have a repetition of all Beit HaMikdash, okay? So let's start from here. Okay? So he built האולם, אמות 20, גובה 120, אוקיי? לא משנה. ויחפ, אוקיי? ויעש את בית קודש הקודשים, אמות 20 ורוחבו אמות 20, ויחפהו זהב טוב. So that's exactly what's written here. וכנפי הכרובים אורכם, all the כרובים that he made on the floor, it's exactly what's written in ספר מלוכים. Okay. And then he made the columns, Yachin Boaz, exactly what's written in Sefer Melachim. Let's go on. Vayas Mizbeach Nechoshet. In Sefer Divrei Yamim, not only that it's mentioned כמעט בהתחלה. 20 אמה אורכו, 20 אמה רוחבו, 10 אמות קומתו. So now I somehow find out that not that he inherited from his father, from Moshe Rabbeinu, a mizbeach that was too small, the copper mizbeach, to hold all the korbanot, but he built a huge one, 20 אמה אורכו and 20 אמה רוחבו, 100 square meter. It's a decent mizbeach. ויעש את הים מוצק, okay, and he built ים של שלוימו, okay, ויעש כיורים 10, that we know, נכון? 10 sinks. ויעש את מנורות הזהב, how many? 10. כמשפטם, we know it from ספר מלכים.
Yeah.
So not to get mixed, I do it very fast, but if it's too fast, tell me. I just want to say that if I look in Divrei Yamim, and it's difficult for me because it's not my mother tongue, so if I go on Divrei Yamim and I equalize it to Sefer Melochim, it has to be hand to hand, okay? It has to be the same, but it's till now it's the same, כמעט, except the fact that at the beginning of Perek Dalet in Divrei Yamim, I find Mizbach Nechoshet, 20 אמה אורכו, 20 אמה רוחבו, ו10 אמה קומתו. So now I have a solution how Shlomo HaMelech, that he didn't run out of money, okay, because he did build a big Mizbeach, but I don't understand why it's not written in Sefer Melochim. I can understand even that after building this big Mizbech, it wasn't enough to hold all the korbanot that he had in Chanukat HaBayit, and therefore he had to sanctify the floor. It's not a question, okay? Maybe he had the Mizbech from Moshe, and they built his own Mizbech, which was huge, and even though it wasn't enough, and therefore he needed to sanctify the floor. That's not a question. But now let's go to see some other things. We have 10 kiorim.
Where are all these things? They're taking up the floor space also. What the use of 10 menorot? What was the use of menorot? Are 9 in storage and using 1?
No. According to Chazal, they were all lit in the Kodesh was bigger, and therefore they were all on the floor. Why did he need 10? That's another issue. But according to Chazal, it wasn't just for, like we say in Shar Titus in Rome, that it was just one of the copies of the original menorah and not the original menorah. No, he had 10 original menorahs. He had 10 sinks. He used them all, okay? Lichora, according to the Pshat, he used them all. I didn't check now was the Deot in Chazal, but as I remember, yes, in Bayit Rishon, all of them were lit.
Who lit them?
Who
lit 10? The Kohen got
Yeah, instead of one, he had 10 times more work to be done.
Explain, can you please, on the Parsha this week coming up, it says that Moshe is supposed to build that Moshe is supposed to build the Yasuli Mikdash, Shachanti B'tocham, and Kechol Asher Ani Mareh Otcha, Et Tabnit HaMishkan, V'Tabnit Kol Kelov, V'chein Tasu. Do exactly, Hashem has showed it to him, and using the Pierce the Or HaChaim, do it exactly as I show you, not bigger and not smaller. Now, but we're finding now this is completely unrelated. What we're looking at is unrelated.
Right. So yeah, I'll answer your question next week, Bezat Hashem, but I didn't want to deal with it. The whole system of Shlomo is, we know that Akol Bichtav Miyad Hashem Alai Iskil. We have this famous posuk saying that he builds exactly according to the Tochniyot, to the plans, and it doesn't change anything. And according to Rashi, the famous Rashi on the menorah, Kazeh Vekadesh, you have to do it exactly. Okay, so you're totally right with the question how he changed so much, the midot, the measures, the shtachim, the areas, the height, the number of menorot, the number. That's a big question. I didn't want to do it. Next time I'll answer it. Okay, but saying that he changed, and having said that he multiplied the number of the kiorim and the number of the menorot, so you see that he did 10 times than what Moshe did. Okay, but we saw 10 menorot, we saw 10 kiorim, and we asked, what about the Shulchanot? And somehow I find here, Vayas Shulchanot, 10. So now everything is fine. We have fine miyamin, 5 mismol, and very nice, okay? So why didn't the Tanakh write in Sefer Melachim that he did 10 Shulchanot? He said it about the Kiorim, he said it about the Menorot, but he forgot to say that he did 10 Shulchanot, okay? So in Sefer Divrei Yamim, we see that Shlomo had more money than what we thought he had in Sefer Melachim, because in Sefer Divrei Yamim, Shlomo built 10 Shulchanot, Shlomo built everything 10, okay? And he built the Mizbach HaNechoshet. So we answered some of the questions. Now we have different questions, because we still don't understand why Mizbach HaKtoret is mentioned in Kodesh HaKodeshim. We still don't understand why Shlomo HaMelech in Sefer Melachim he doesn't build Mizbeach Nechoshet, and in Divrei Yamim he did. Why in Sefer Melachim he didn't build just one Shulchan, and in Divrei Yamim he did 10? But we have a lot of problems here, and I just the problem with this show that it's too complicated for an hour, even 2 hours, but I'll just do it minemala, not with getting into all the details. But
and did he have lechem hapanim on each of the 10 shulchanot?
Yes, they had a lot of lechem hapanim. Okay, maybe if the Kohanim in Beit Rishon were degenerated, so I would say that they had a lot of work to do, and therefore they were like this. But the problem is that they were degenerate in Beit Sheni. In Beit Rishon we were honest, probably. So they had just a lot of work, and they didn't have, they did 10 times what Aaron HaKohen did. Okay? So, yeah.
And it didn't all have to be the Kohen Gadol. It could have been any Kohen. Other Kohen.
Nachon. It's not just the Kohen Gadol. You're right. Just the menorah is maybe. Yeah. It's all the Kohanim. Nachon. So we have. I'll answer you, Bezrat Hashem, next week about your questions and why did Shlomo choose to change. But as I show, there is a huge difference between Sefer Divrei Yamim and Sefer Melachim, and between both of them to what we know from Sefer Shmot. So I thought of leaving you with some answer, but since we're about to finish the shiur, I think that we'll just do באמת like the Abarbanel and finish with just the questions, and next week we'll do with just the answer, because otherwise it will be, you'll get mixed up with a little bit of an answer and it won't be good. Okay, so let's finish the questions, and maybe I'll add some questions next week. Even with this pasuk, ויעש שולחנות 10, וינח בהיכל, 5 מימין ו5 משמאל, ויעש מזרקי זהב 100. He has made 100. Okay, what does mizrekei zahav means? It's vessels of used for blood, okay, to hold blood, for the mizbach hazahav, for the mizbach hanechoshet, sorry, for the korbanot. Why is it written with this pasuk of the Shulchanot? Why do we have here mizrekei zahav? I would write it here. ויעש מזבח נחושת 20 אמה וכולי וכולי. And ויעש מזרקי זהב 100. Okay? The vessels, the kelim that he used for the mizbach הנחושת, he used מזרקי זהב 100. It's not related at all to the shulchanot. Okay? The shulchanot, as you said, Larry, on the shulchan we put lechem hapanim. We don't need mizrekei zahav at all. No blood, nothing. So everything is mixed here. Okay, so let's finish just with the questions. We have mix between Sefer Shmot and Sefer Melachim and Divrei Hayamim. First, as you mentioned, Shlomo changes a lot of things, everything. I don't see that one thing that he left it as it was by Moshe. He changed it all. Change the number, change the heights, the godel, everything. But we find somehow the mizrakim stuck with the shulchanot. We find somehow the mizbach haktoret, mizbach hazahav, stuck in Kodesh HaKodashim twice. We find in one place that Shlomo built one shulchan, in one place in Divrei Hayamim that he built 10 shulchanot. Okay? We will find in one place, Melachim, that he didn't build Mizbach HaNechoshet at all. And we find in one place in Divrei Hayamim that the first thing that he built was Mizbach HaNechoshet. Okay? So we have a big mix-up, and you somehow understand the way to the answer, because you can identify that our problems deals mainly with two mizbechot, right? One mizbach hanechoshet, which doesn't appear in Melachim, but appears in Divrei Hayamim, and one with a weird appearance of mizbach hazahav with relation to Kodesh HaKodashim just in Sefer Melachim. When, and I didn't say that, if you read here about Aron HaBrit, you won't see anything about Mizbach HaKtoret, okay? Shum davar. You'll see it just Aron HaBrit, as we know, with no relation of the Mizbach HaKtoret. So we have some hafuch attitude between Sefer Melachim and Sefer Divrei Hayamim. Sefer Melachim is focused with Mizbach HaKtoret, and it doesn't mention Mizbach HaZahav at all, whereas Sefer Divrei Hayamim focuses on the big Mizbach Nechoshet, but it doesn't say anything about Mizbach HaKtoret, and Mizbach HaKtoret comes to its original location and width, like in the Mishkan, that it's a small part of the Kodesh, okay? It's Mizbach, it's not related to Kodesh HaKodashim, it's in its place, it's used for Ktoret, everything is fine. But in Sefer Melachim, we have a magnifying of the Mizbach HaKtoret and lowering very much the part of Mizbach HaZahav. And I'm sorry, but we have to finish here. So the answers will be given next week, Bezrat Hashem.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Who
you.
wrote who מחיבר ספר דברי?
That's key to the answer.
Ah,
Sefer Melachim was founded by Yirmiyah. I'm talking about the Gemara in Baba Batra of Tetvav. The Gemara there that has a Braita, who is the author of all the books. So Yirmiyah is the author of Melachim, whereas Ezra, a Sofer, is the author of Divrei Yamim.
so
Think
he
of
didn't see Beit Rishon.
exactly. Think it over, and that's the key to the solution.
Oh.
שבוע טוב.
לילה טוב.
לילה טוב.